Max Larson from Wave Ventures and Founders House from Stockholm. Max, how are we? Off the rip from the back of Project
What's
Lovable.
up?
How are we doing?
Oh my God, it has been an absolute blast.
48
Just
hours of
absolutely crazy.
absolute chaos. Fun?
Yeah, yeah, it has been absolutely insane. It was super cool. I listened into the Aaron segment as
Yeah, we
well.
had to get him
Uh,
on. Like it was a
Fuck
must
yeah,
do. ETS did an incredible job of producing that live stream content. Dude,
yeah.
Seb must have been so tired.
He was looking absolutely awful.
I think I caught some of the stream where he hopped in an ice bath and like hopped straight out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but they have done an amazing job. Everyone at the venue did so great. I'm absolutely blown away still by all the extreme talent there. Like the teams did an amazing job. Just absolutely amazing to see. It was a blast. Now I'm still like recovering from the lack of sleep, but yeah, it was so cool, so cool.
Dude, I love it. Look, I want a little recap on like the events that happened and
100%.
how Founders House played a part in this and how you played a part in all of this. By the way, love the segment. Really enjoyed the interview. I saw it with the Swedish top on, the hat. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, repping colors. Go Europe. Tell me more. Give us a little bit of background into yourself as well.
100%. I can start with myself. So I'm a investor for Wave Ventures. We back the absolute earliest stage possible. Just fully focused on talent and conviction. That's basically what we look at. Doing Nordic investments. We have launched our third fund now. 3 times the size of the last one. Done 13 investments already.
Brilliant.
So things are moving quickly. And then on part time, I'm doing Founders House, which is this AI hub. So yeah, so Kitty called me last Monday, basically saying, "Hey, we realized that Anton's birthday is next week, and we want to surprise him in some way. So we were thinking of doing a hackathon." Um, and she said, basically, "Are you in?" And I was like, "Of course I am. Fuck yeah, let's do it." Uh, so it went very quickly, and then I became like the man on the ground, basically. Yeah, so that was it, and then it was just straight onto planning, booking, like just every logistics with like birthday cake, food, fixing DJ, fixing the venue, ice baths, of course, that was important. So yeah, we made some really good progress in a very short period of time. Chaotic, but it turned out very well.
How was it for the Swedish ecosystem? Did it sort of send ripples to be like, look, we're here, we're doing this, and it's great for the ecosystem?
I think this sort of event sends a message to people and saying, hey, if you really want to do something really crazy, then it's possible. And basically, that's shown both from the media attention that we got, but also like just organizing this event was crazy. It was a crazy idea, but it turned out really good. And then most importantly, I think for the teams that were participating in the hackathon, uh, they have done some incredible stuff like Aaron, of course, like selling a company within 20 hours from starting it. Like, yeah, just insane. People thought probably that was impossible, but turns out it's possible. It's possible to do that as a European founder as well, and not just hear all the crazy stories from back in the West. So yeah, absolutely amazing. We can also like there was so many cool teams we can touch upon that as
Dude,
well.
give me some of your favorites. Like, obviously, you
Yeah,
must have spent so much time just walking around trying to understand what people are building, the teams, and how they come together. What are
yeah.
the ones that really stood out for you?
Uh, I think both like Aaron's teams, of course, they were onto something. I knew that pretty early on. But I mean, there were so many crazy ideas. Like there was one team, a Swedish team that did Capsule One. They basically integrated 11 labs voice models to create a AI agent that calls your family members whenever you don't have time to do that.
Oh, you
So
serious?
basic, yeah. So you record your own voice. It creates this copy of yourself, and then calls your grandma. And then starts asking questions like, "Hey, what was your favorite memory from my upbringing with you?" And then basically when eventually your grandma passes away, you can always call her and talk to her again, because they save all the data and information and the voice that she have, so you can call her.
That is super cool.
It's a very unreasonable idea, but I love it. It's super cool. They
No,
did
but
a
it feels like
really
there's a
good
market
job as
for
well.
it. Like there's a larger market for
Yeah,
it. People always want
yeah,
to speak to their family members. And this is the
yeah.
best way to do that because you sort of have to build the memory almost.
Exactly. But the dark side is, I guess, two things, like you not having time to call your family, like gaining more time. But then also they put in a very fun thing in the end of the demo video. They said, like, basically, when if you stop paying for their subscription, your grandma will call you up and say, "Hey, I will be deleted forever. Are you sure you are going to do this?"
Oh, that's quite
Just
cool.
horrible. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
really, really dark.
Yeah. But then there was so many other cool projects. Like one Swedish team mapped out all of hydrogen production globally and mapped the prices and correlated them into, like, how has hydrogen production developed over the past years. Yeah, so just like some were super technically difficult, some were less technically difficult, but was more towards like a good product fit in a short period of time. So the creativity level, the ambition level, and the technical skills were just absolutely amazing to see.
Was the goal to use Lovable within this process or was Lovable just the sponsor?
Yeah, so basically the goal was to, in some way or another, use Lovable to create your product. I think it wasn't a requirement, but Lovable is such a powerful tool to create something really awesome in a very short period of time. So it makes a lot of sense for people to use Lovable, especially at like hackathons. Even the highly technical ones sat and used Lovable as well. They could have coded their product within a week, but now since they only had 24 hours, they took help from Lovable to do that. Yeah, so everyone was using Lovable.
I was following along online and I was watching the 20-hour company updates. There was like, they ripped through pre-seed, seed, series A, and then it was like hours left and they just sold the company. Those moments must have felt amazing.
Yeah, it was just crazy to follow. Like it felt unreal. Just like it felt like, oh, they are just playing us, they're tricking us, but actually they made progress. Like, it's just crazy. Like, some people reached 30K ARR within the first couple of hours in the hackathon, which was just crazy. Like, that's good for a
Wow.
team that has worked on a product for a couple of months. Like that's pretty decent traction. But they did it in like 4 or 5 hours. So yeah, everything is possible basically. Now I've set my standards for traction now has gone up pretty
If
widely.
you can't do it in
Now that
20
we get the
hours, then
sorry.
if you can't do it in 20 hours, I don't want to have a conversation until you've tried.
Exactly. Yeah, I can always say, hey, these guys did this traction in 30 hours or 20 hours. Why haven't you done any traction? No, but it was super cool to see.
Max, I've got to ask, right? Lovable is obviously the darling of Europe at this point in time. They are consistently growing more than any other company on the planet. And it's sort of like cultural zeitgeist of vibe coding and coders. Divided views, but that's a topic for another time. We wanted to get into the fact of like, why is this happening in Stockholm right now? Can you break down the history for me? You've got some incredible companies that have ripped through the cultural zeitgeist, like Klarna, like Spotify. When I think music, I think Spotify.
Yeah,
I'm being an early user myself. Like I had it from day dot. So I'm proud to be able to say that I use a Swedish product and a European product.
yeah, for sure. I think, like, taking it a bit, like the story, I think, starts with a company named Stardoll. It was a Swedish company. Basically, it was a gaming company that you were able to have dolls online and you could dress them and do whatever. That was founded by Matthias Mitsche, and it was Sequoia's first ever European investment. That was back in 2006, after like 30 years of only investing
Jeez.
in the States.
Was there a particular
So
reason why that was the investment?
sorry.
Was there a particular reason why that was the investment? Why it was that particular company?
I have no clue. Basically, they gained some early traction, I think, and I think in the days Sequoia saw an opportunity for Swedish tech, and saw some sort of momentum being gained. back at that time, Daniel Ek, that founded Spotify, was the CTO of Stardoll. So it's just like yeah, the circle goes on. But so Sequoia did their first investment ever in Europe back in 2006, which I think is kind of late. But then after that, a lot of investors started pouring in capital into Europe. So there, from that period of time, came Klarna and Spotify and these sort of like unicorns. They continued to grow for a number of years, but everything became quiet after like 2008, 09. I guess due to like the financial crisis that we had in Europe and globally. So things became quiet. These great tech companies from Sweden grew, but no new startups were really founded. And then, of course, we have had a couple of really cool startups. But then when ChatGPT was launched and like the AI happened, there was one company called Depict that basically were very early on in AI. This was even before ChatGPT launched. But from that company, you can actually see trails to a lot of the great companies from Sweden right now. So, for example, Lovable. Anton was part of the core team at Depict. And we have a bunch of different really cool names that came from Depict. So my vision right now for the Swedish ecosystem is that you have Depict. From that came 4 or 5 amazing companies that have done so many cool things. Imagine, maybe next year or in a couple of years, the amount of extremely talented founders that will come from these sort of companies. It will be like an exponential curve of great founders.
Truly, it feels like the way that you describe it, it feels like that area of the world has its own PayPal mafia. And
yeah,
as
for sure.
as the ecosystem grows, these individuals are going to proliferate and to build other companies, and we end up with that situation where you've got like Reid Hoffman, Elon, Peter Thiel, and this like plethora of incredible talent. What I want to ask is, if we look back at history, we look at Palo Alto specifically, where all of these generational companies are in the US, the Googles, the Apples, the Microsofts, etc. The reason that they did so well back then was because there was nothing else to do, right? Do you think there's a similar situation in Sweden at the moment?
Yeah, I think like the thing about like building communities is that we need to set role models and we need to become like the norm of building tech. I think that is what they've done very well in San Francisco and in Palo Alto. Like they've created this sort of like culture where innovation, entrepreneurship, building startups is just the norm. Like if you go to San Francisco on the street and ask someone like, "Hey, what do you do?" "Yeah, I build a startup," or "Yeah, I work at this
Dude, the Uber drivers
huge
build
tech
startups
company."
is what
Yeah.
I'm seeing, right? It's not like I have a job. It's like, yeah, I'm doing everything I can to keep myself afloat.
Exactly. And I think for a while, like the Nordics have had it's a good problem, it's a positive problem, but we have a huge alternative cost of, there are a very good, well-paid jobs like going into consulting, banking, especially like when you look at countries like Norway or Denmark, they have crazy salaries. So like the opportunity cost is kind of high to build a startup in Sweden, and even when you look at more towards UK and like Switzerland, that's that opportunity cost. But basically, I think that we did, so Wave did like a survey where we asked business students and like engineers. I think this was 2022. They asked students, "Hey, do you see yourself build a startup in the future after you graduate?" And then it was like 18% said yes. The same survey was done just 1 year ago or something. That same number was 87% now. So the interest of building a startup and founding startups have just absolutely skyrocketed. Probably because of these role models, right? Like you have Depict, you have Lovable, you have Tandem Health, Legora, these absolutely insane companies. People see this as a valid career option now, which is great. I think it's perfect. But yeah, now it's all about like keeping the momentum going, make sure that there's a good infrastructure for people building tech companies to continue do so. And if they fail, they can just get right back up and continue to try and try and try. like they did back in San Francisco.
What does the ecosystem need right now in Stockholm?
Right now in Stockholm, I think a lot has to, like, we have the talent, obviously. Like, there's crazy good talent. The talent density is, I would say, one of the highest in the world in Stockholm right now.
And incredibly underrated, which works in your favor.
Absolutely, it's like the underdog mentality, which definitely works in our favor. I think the problem is now that we see a lot of international investors coming into Sweden to do deals, which might not benefit the Swedish ecosystem in the long run, because then they go in, they invest, they make a good exit, and then they reinvest in another country that is more hyped at that period of time. So I think that investors need to really shift their focus from, being this, like, looking at a lot of downside risk, taking too long to respond to, like, emails, just become way quicker, take more risk, to keep up with everything that's going on. Right now, I don't see that investors in Sweden and in the Nordics are able to facilitate the need for capital that these companies have. So one example that I have is, there was this company that I talked to. Basically, they pitched a San Francisco investor, and they pitched a Swedish investor the same day. And 48 hours later, they got a term sheet from the San Francisco investor, and he called the Swedish investor to ask, "Hey, have you made a decision?" And they said, "Yeah, we are deciding upon. We'll look at your case." Like, basically within 48 hours, they hadn't decided who in their team were going to actually, like, evaluate their case. So just absolutely insane. There is something that needs to be done there.
At Wave Ventures, do you pride yourself on making those bets quite quickly?
Yeah, for sure. We try to be, at the end of the day, like, I think long term, what will make us be very, very recognized as a really good VC firm is that we are able to make decisions extremely fast, way faster than anyone else. We are extremely open and transparent. So if we don't think, like, if I get a text and I don't think that it's a good case, or if it's outside of our scope or outside of our mandate, I will tell you straight up. Like, I won't say, like, hey, maybe we can take a meeting next week. Let me think about it. Like, I will say, hey, these are my concerns right now. Like, I don't think you have raised money before. It's out of a scope, unfortunately. If you want me to help out with any intros, I would love to. So basically, just being fully transparent, fully open, work extremely fast, extremely hard, and then actually focus a lot on the ecosystem. I think that is super important as well.
What's your thesis around that then? When we look at the ecosystem, what is it that you're doing at, like, kind of pre-seed? It's not pre-seed and seed, is it? Or it's pre-seed only?
We do even earlier than pre-seed, basically. So we invest before anyone else. It's okay if they have, like, some family members that have.
And so the angel round can be okay, or family and friends.
Exactly. Angel rounds. Like, usually we do the angel rounds, teaming up with a bunch of different angels to do the rounds with 50 to 100K euros in tickets. So if they have done a pre-seed before, then it's out of our scope. Like, that's not our alpha. Our alpha is to basically invest before anyone knows their names, because we know these people. We have talked to them, known them for maybe a year or so. We have followed their career at, for example, Lovable. We have a bunch of young people. We are able to follow them, follow their progression that they are doing, and then be the first ticket in. Like, when they decide to start doing their company, then they will immediately think of us. Like, okay, Wave is doing really quick, really transparent tickets that will help me get on my feet and start doing this full time.
I've got to ask, how do you build that internal conviction that this is the bet that you need to take within 24 hours?
Yeah. A lot. It helps a lot if we know them from way back.
Which I guess is what Founders House is trying to build and allow you to get to know them.
Yeah, exactly. So Founders House is this sort of mechanism for community for founders to sit there and build. We pride ourselves of having the absolute best AI talent building very early on. Sitting at Founders House, we have a great community of very interesting people. That helps, of course. But I think that basically, when we have 24 or 48 hours to do a deal, or make a decision, we have to have super high conviction in the founders and in the founders' ability to execute and pursue this long term. Because when you do a startup, you should have the mindset of, okay, I'm going to do this for the next 10 years of my life. Will I dedicate more than 40 hours a week? Will I dedicate 100 hours a week for the next 10 years to pursue this goal that I have? We need to double down on that, basically. We don't have any data to go off. We don't have any financial projections. We don't care about that. We don't care really about, how technical ready their product is, if they have found a market fit, if they talk to a lot of customers. Like, we should be that early and have a strong faith in the founders. Basically, that's the only thing we can go off. Because my thesis is that if you have a really good, talented team, everything else will sort itself out. Like, they will understand what's the best market fit. They will understand what pricing ranges they will offer to the clients. They will understand how to build the next big, really good software company. Like, of course they will. We can facilitate and provide like the best possible infrastructure for them to get to that place where they understand like their market fit. But at the end of the day, if we invest, we think that the team is absolutely amazing and that they can create really cool stuff in the future.
I have two questions. One, what are the characteristics of the founders that you are investing on or looking to invest in that have allowed you to create that thesis?
Um, So I guess one commonality, of course, really good founders are very different in
Hmm.
many ways. Like, it's not a homogeneous group of people that are really good founders. I think that speaks of itself. I think the one pattern that we see in the people that we invest in are, one, like a crazy obsession. Like, you see it in their eyes when they talk about their niche or their industry or product. Like, they are living for this sort of question or like problem that they're trying to solve. Um, they have extreme ambition. Like, they're many times very cocky. Like, for example, back when Bror and Eli started house, they said like, hey, we're building next great AI community in the Nordics. And the people that they talked to laughed at them, but now 6 months later we are here. So I think being like not naive, but being extremely confident in your own belief and have these crazy ambitions. We are aiming to have invest in people that wants to build a good company in Sweden. They want to change the way we use technology globally. Like that's the ambition level, and they are very confident in their own ability to do so. And that comes probably with the obsession. Like, industry expertise in some way is great when we have someone that actually knows a lot about the industry they are going into. That's super hard to ask for from a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old. That's super hard. But some people have that. They have done it since they were super, like 12 years old. They have this industry expertise. So that is also a help, but not necessarily like the most important part. And if we talk about like the team dynamics of the founding team, then I think ideally we would like to see maybe they have done something very hard for, and they have managed to solve some sort of problem. We usually try to ask like, what is the hardest thing that you've ever done, and how did you solve that? Like the typical interview question. Super interesting to hear their thoughts on problem solving in an effective way, communicating together, working together. Sometimes that's not the case. Like, sometimes maybe they met weeks ago, but then we have to work from that and build conviction around their ability to build a good relationship in the future.
The second question was focused around what you think as a VC you need to do to support the founders that you invest in or just the ecosystem in general. How do you think about
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I think that it depends a lot on we always try to ask, or we always ask the founders like, hey, what do you need from us? And then we are super transparent in what we can and what we can't do.
Comes
If
back to that
a
transparent
founder,
relationship.
yeah, it's super important to have a transparent, open relationship, be aligned on expectations. Because if I go to a founder that is doing an AI startup and I say, hey, I'm really good at AI, I can help you with the algorithms, and I can write you some code as well. And then we invest, and then the relationship part begins, and I don't know shit about how to build a good algorithm for an AI agent. Then I'm screwed. So we are super transparent in what we know and what we don't know. Usually the value add in the beginning in these super early stages are we're able to introduce them to a lot of talent through our networks, so we can help them find the best possible first team that they can have and build their company with. Then we can also set them up, build up the specific round, so we can introduce them to really good investors that we like personally, that we think would be a great fit for them. If there's anyone building in fintech, then we might have a financial advice or a industry advisor that have worked at a fintech company before. And then for future rounds, also we help them like push up the valuation, do everything correctly to make the round as good as possible. Throughout, everyday things, I always tell my founders that I've invested in, like, hey, you can come with any question, regardless of what time it is during the day. I will answer you. And if I can't answer your specific question, I will walk over, do everything possible to find someone that can answer your question. And I will be fully transparent when I can't. I will not guess anything. Like, if you have a question about the industry, I will not sit here and guess and be like, hey, it might be this, that is the best way to do this. No, I will try to find someone that can give you the absolute best answer there. But then, like, it all comes down to long-term relationship building and transparency.
Max, I've always seen VCs as this gigantic context window, right? At any given moment that your founder comes to you, you should be able to go, right, I understand the problem. This is the person you need to speak to, or maybe this is the way that you should be thinking about it. I think it's wonderful that you have that transparent relationship. I'm going to turn the tables back on you for a moment. You said that you look in your founders for this hunger, this ambition to build another worldly company, right? This hyper ambition. What gets you up in the morning and allows you and like makes you want to do this?
That's a good question.
I don't think you guys get to get asked often enough. It's always being at the other end of it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that what gets me up in the morning is, full transparency. I think that it's actually, like, this will sound very cliche, but I really like to work with people that are way smarter than myself. Like, for me, growth is very important to learn stuff. I'm pretty young. I'm 23, and I think that each second that I learn will multiply by thousands of hours in the future. The younger I am optimizing for learning, I think the better. So basically, my philosophy since I was very young has always been to optimize my for knowledge and for learning. And I think that VC currently and at Wave and at Founders House, I'm in a very unique situation, and I'm super grateful for that I can actually access these incredible minds and these geniuses to talk about super interesting topics and like explore ideas on how to improve the world. We are very, like, sometimes annoyingly positive about the future, and you don't tend to look at the downside risk, only the upside potential. I like that. I like seeing the future as a very bright thing, where there's so much things that we can do. Like, our generation, like the generation to come here, we are the ones that like actually write this chapter of the world. And if I can be just a super small part of that, I think that I have used my time well on this earth. So that is, I think, my biggest motivation.
Max, before we let you go, I've got one last question. What is the most underrated startup that exists inside the Swedish ecosystem right now for you that people just aren't talking enough about? It doesn't have to be a bet that you've made or Wave Ventures has made, but just one you look at and go, holy crap, that is awesome.
Yeah. I will be a bit biased.
Oh, more than
but
happy
I
to.
think that
You can plug your own.
Yeah. I think that a lot of teams come up in mind. I do think that one example is Natively. They are just absolutely smashing it right Natively is a Lovable for app building. So basically, when you want to create an app in whatever sense on the App Store, you go to Natively, you describe what you want to do, and then it produces that app, and you can post it on App Store. It's incredible to see the things that have been done. For example, it was a local bank down in Zimbabwe that created their app for their customers to use and to get
No
in
way.
contact with their bank and stuff. And that just shows the absolute it just shows how many ideas and opportunities there are for non-technical people to they want to do something but they can't. I guess this is like the ground basis for Lovable as well. But then when you enable small banks in Zimbabwe to actually help their customers like get a home, be more transparent, helping them with their everyday life, just by sitting a couple of developers here in Sweden, then I think it's so cool. And then there's a lot of other really cool companies as well. There's one called Lavoit. It's 19-year-old that has done hydrogen since he was 12. He is going to make the world's cheapest hydrogen. Really cool. Really hyped about that.
That is pretty awesome. We got to get those two founders on and those founding teams on. Max, this has been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate the history lesson. It's always important to look back in time as we move forward. Looking forward to having you on again and the VCs from Wave Ventures and the talent that comes out of Founders House. Dude, congrats. Project Lovable was amazing.
Thank you so much. I love this. It's great. We'll talk later.
Absolutely.